Please briefly summarize your industry education and professional background.
Yeah, so I'll start with my name is Tiffany Gispanski, and my role at Schneider Electric is the National Software Strategic Pursuits Leader for the water wastewater industry. And I've been in this role since last November, but I started with Schneider back in 2015, and I've had various roles all supporting the water and infrastructure industries. I studied chemical engineering at university and began my career at Siemens Energy back in 2008, where I spent 7 years as an engineer in the energy industry here in the Americas.
So what does Schneider Electric do, and how does it fit within the infrastructure industry?
Great question. So at Schneider Electric, our purpose is to empower everyone to make the most of our resources. Together with our partners, we provide energy and automation digital solutions for efficiency and sustainability. Our portfolio combines world-leading technologies, real-time automation software, as well as service into a integrated solution to best support the infrastructure industry and the challenges that they're faced with today. For example, the threat of climate change makes water management one of the biggest challenges in the coming years. So building next generation water and wastewater systems requires bold steps to address these issues, including things like water leakage, water quality, reliability, and energy savings. So where the industry may have been previously, they maybe previously shied away from more innovative solutions, or has seemingly been slow to adopt the movement towards digital, we now have the opportunity to accelerate this digital transformation and drive towards a zero emissions future. And at Schneider, we've positioned our people and our portfolio to be a trusted technology partner to our customers by not only offering, future-proof hardware solutions, but also by supporting our customers on their digital journey so that they can do more with less.
Let's talk a little bit about exactly what you do. So how does your work in particular relate to water and energy industries and utilities?
Schneider's involvement in the water and wastewater business dates back decades and spans the cycle from water resources to both water and wastewater treatment and networks, as well as desalination and so on. So this means that we have a lot of experience at the foundation of our offerings. And our comprehensive portfolio, which we refer to as EcoStructure, which is our IIoT or Industrial Internet of Things, open architecture framework, which is designed to help utilities achieve their goals and prepare for the future. So a common theme within the water wastewater industry and the topic of just about every conversation that I'm having today with utilities is around smart water applications, or the leveraging of data to make faster, more informed decisions to capture both energy and operational efficiencies. I even heard someone say at a recent water summit that data is the new gold. So obviously my work is primarily focused on the water wastewater industry and our digital solutions. But to continue with the topic of leveraging data and tying in the energy industry, a great deal of energy is required to treat and distribute water, and thus creates greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, over 2% of the United States energy usage is being accounted to water systems, which releases 45 million tons of greenhouse gases annually. At Schneider, we differentiate ourselves by combining the power of energy and automation while leveraging and contextualizing real-time data. To offer a recent example, we helped Veolia Water achieve 15% in annual energy savings and realize a 20% improvement in production efficiency thanks to our EcoStructure solutions.
So how would you describe the state of the U.S. water infrastructure? How can and should it be improved?
Well, I'm not sure if you heard or read this, but back in 2020, it was reported that 80% of water utilities see aging infrastructure as the most challenging issue facing their industry today. Now we're in 2023 and that still hasn't changed. And although the talk of leveraging data is getting more and more attention, it's still not really being used to its full potential. To offer some more insights, in a recent survey, 7 out of 10 utilities say that they're collecting a lot of data, but only about a quarter of them believe that they are leveraging it effectively. This is why earlier when I was talking about what Schneider does and how we can help, I emphasized contextualized data. It's not enough to just collect the information. Water utilities need to harness the data through actionable information about their process or asset performance or energy use. And with today's advanced digital solutions that have the ability to connect multiple data sources and display easy to understand reports and dashboards, utilities can now gain a holistic view of their entire system or systems.
Okay, so you've been talking a bit about how technology can work to improve these things. But how does the overall effects of climate change fit into what needs to be done to improve these kind of infrastructure?
Right. So I would say that the consequences of climate change have only brought more attention to the challenges of aging infrastructure. If you in the 1960s and 70s, we saw a massive uptick in the construction of water and wastewater facilities, which means that a lot of what's out there today is 50 to 60 years old. And now with extreme weather events like flooding and droughts and wildfires, it's no wonder that this is at the top of everyone's mind. I live here in California, and this past September, an intense heat wave pushed our power grid to its limits, threatening power outages across the state. And you see in the news, places like in Jackson, Mississippi, the water system failed due to flooding last August. Events like these shine a spotlight on energy inefficiencies and the demand for more resiliency and reliability. In fact, the World Bank estimates that on average, 25 to 35% of water is lost during pumping and distribution. I've heard this percentage to be even higher in some parts of the United States. So when you consider this and you add in droughts and the water that's needed to put out wildfires, then investing in infrastructure starts to become really easy math. And I think the beauty of digitalizing systems through data and analytics is that it can be used to address all of these issues. It can be used to predict and avoid potential failings, prepare for weather events or disruptions, and even mitigate water loss.
Okay, so before we jump into a different kind of topic, I'm hoping we can kind of round out the improvements here. So what role should technology be playing in updating this hard infrastructure, such as water utilities? And we've been talking about it, but any other moments you'd like to bring in this discussion?
Yeah, so obviously, digitalization can't replace the need for all infrastructure, but what it can do is help identify where to start. New equipment, including pipes and treatment facilities, they're difficult and expensive to replace. Even with funding, these types of projects can take years. Also, there's a lot of infrastructure that we can't see. So it can be difficult to know what to replace and when to replace it. This is where embracing modern technology and digital solutions can help prioritize projects and mitigate risks. It essentially helps the invisible become visible. So through data and trend tracking with solutions from Schneider Electric like Aviva Pi, utilities can gain insights to leaks, worn out equipment, even energy consumption down to the device level, which means shifting from being reactive to predictive, improving asset performance and avoiding unscheduled downtimes. Hopefully that's all encompassing enough to answer your question.
No, I think that's great. So I was informed that you know something that I know very little about. Maybe you could explain this. I heard that the EPA loaned the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank. Can you tell me a bit what this bank does, a little bit about the loan, and is it limited to New Jersey?
So to be perfectly honest with you, I'm actually not very familiar with the EPA loan to New Jersey, but I will say that at Schneider Electric, we have a team that's dedicated to following and understanding the funding available to water utilities. We even have partnerships in place to help utilities write grants and gain access to things like federal funding programs and these government affiliated loans. And I'd be happy to connect you with our director of government relations, who's much more knowledgeable on this subject than me. But it does sound like the EPA has started to take action, helping states improve outdated water wastewater systems. And I will add that I have been involved in a few conversations, which is probably what you heard, on how to get federal funding. And there seems to be a lot of focus around sustainability, which we all know is a really broad topic and certainly encompasses energy efficiencies, net zero carbon goals, as well as resiliency. So what Schneider's been doing and what I've been doing is supporting our customers in creating their sustainability story, identifying and prioritizing goals, and establishing an iterative plan that can be implemented over time that they can then take and use to qualify for funding. I can also share a recent success story as it relates to your question. Schneider and a New Jersey water utility received a 2022 Top Project of the Year award by Environment and Energy Leader Awards Program. Willingboro Municipal Utilities Authority, or WMUA, partnered with us to implement a significant infrastructure project to improve sustainability and resiliency of their water facilities through a funding program called Energy Savings Improvement Plan, or ESIP. So the program allowed WMUA to tackle several major mechanical and operational objectives under one single project, and will eventually result in approximately $7 million of savings over the next 20 years, with limited impact to their rate structure, which I know is really important to a lot of utilities and their customers. And this is mainly due to process and operational improvements and the extremely low cost of financing through the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank. I will add that one of the judges of this government funding plan was quoted saying that this multifaceted project allows the upgrades to work together in a holistic fashion to result in a significantly more energy efficient system than would be ordinarily possible. And the reason I wanted to mention this quote is because this is where I think the full portfolio of Schneider Electric really shines. Although a lot of our solutions can be agnostic, especially on the digital side. Where the magic really happens is that seamless connectivity by having all of this under a single umbrella. And so we can really help customers capture the value of combining the energy and automation through a single digital platform.
So the next is kind of the most important question, in my opinion. I'd like you to kind of speak directly to our audience of engineers, and particularly the engineers doing water projects or for water utilities. And what might some advice you give them, and what can they do to help in some of these problems and challenges and changes that we've been talking about? What can they do in their own worlds to help?
I think there's just so much untapped potential in automation, especially in the water market. Too many typical projects are designed by traditional engineering firms and implemented by contractors who win based on low bids. So this approach, I feel like, treats the control system more as an expense rather than an asset that will bring a return on investment. So I would encourage utilities and their engineering partners alike to work together to support at all stages of the journey. And it is a journey. Look to engineering partners that can both consult, design, as well as implement a higher quality system to provide a lot more value. In the same thought, and kind of going back to my point earlier around funding, I'd always suggest creating a master plan or vision document. If there's a plan in place, you can build the foundation and go from there. And it's critical to have buy-in from all stakeholders on what values are worth chasing. For example, you need to be asking the questions, is your team interested in energy savings or automated reporting or advanced data connectivity between platforms like SCADA, CMMS, and ERP? Do you want to ditch collecting field information on paper and instead have tablets with pre-made checklists that automatically sync to your data historian? Or would you like to be able to train your new operators on your system-wide SCADA tools in a day rather than weeks or months? All these things are possible, but should be identified as clear goals. And then you can build a roadmap of projects that help you get there. And I think as we look into the future, I'd be remiss if I didn't encourage engineers to consider the more innovative technologies that are out there today. The solutions around universal automation standards, like Schneider's EcoStruxure Automation Expert, that decouples the hardware from the software and offers utilities much more agility with an open approach to automation. And with sustainability at the forefront, I think we need to adopt cloud-based solutions, data transparency to ultimately leverage the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning. The water sector is faced with so many challenges in today's turbulent environment, and we can find a way to break down silos. If we can find a way to break down silos and share information, then we can learn and achieve at a much faster rate.